trying to coddle him for? Let the man walk out, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
Yes, sir.
There's one in the head.
Does your buddy have one as well?
Guns in here.
All right, just hang tight right here for me. Let me clear this. I don't want any accidental fires.
There's no safety. You gotta take.
There's no safety. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna mess around with that too much. You just set this down right here. Dude, step out for me. Yes, sir. Place your hands behind your back for me. All right, right now you're just being detained. You're not under arrest.
Are you scared?
We're gonna be at the church. All right, I appreciate you being cool, man. We're just gonna take a look at this information, make sure it's valid.
I ain't sure this.
Just take a step to the side for me.
We haven't seen a celebrity saga flip this brutal in a long time, not even with the Harris family's history of wild drama. Tonight, the world's eyes are locked on King Harris, who's lying in intensive care, beaten down, bloodied, and barely hanging on after what insiders are calling a straight-up savage prison attack. The leaks coming out of those Georgia prison walls sound less like real life and more like a gangland movie come to life. Reports say King was left fighting for consciousness after being jumped inside his block.
T.I.'s son, King Harris has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected to his act.
Guards scrambled to drag him out while chaos exploded all around, forcing an emergency lockdown. Sources claim he was rushed under heavy guard to the prison infirmary, face swollen, body limp, barely moving. Prison staff had to battle to get control as a full-scale melee broke loose, leaving multiple inmates injured. And for anyone thinking this was some random brawl or a rookie initiation gone wrong, nah, this was no accident. Whispers say it was a calculated move, a cold-blooded ambush. Some are convinced it was revenge for King constantly flashing his money and privilege, while others believe it was a warning shot, a reminder that inside those walls, fame counts for nothing and weakness makes you prey.
I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for Family Hustle. Right. Now, it does come with some, it's some adversity. Mm-hmm. There's some adversity to come with that. People get in your bed.
Yeah. As the story broke, the internet went crazy. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every feed was buzzing. Some folks showed shock and sympathy, but plenty were clowning him, saying King finally ran into the real world and couldn't handle it. Meanwhile, the Harris family is said to be in full-blown panic, desperately looking for answers as rumors swirl. This won't be the last time King gets targeted. Social media lit up like wildfire, live reactions, wild theories, non-stop speculation. And the first round of unconfirmed whispers, they're pointing fingers at ongoing beefs with other inmates. An insider close to the Harris circle says King had been marked for public humiliation weeks ago. This wasn't a random run-in. Folks really close to the situation claim it was planned. Another source tied to prison staff told us King was treated like a pariah inside, with other inmates tired of his family's spotlight and his own loud moves like he was running the yard.
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting is gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this. A lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
Guys inside who spoke off the record say they warned him to watch his back. He was too loud, too proud, and straight up too soft for that block. What started as threats didn't stay talk. Things escalated fast and turned brutal in real time. The Harris camp flipped into full emergency mode, and word is T.I. hasn't slept a minute since it went down. They've been blowing up phones, calling attorneys, local politicians, and anybody with pull at the Georgia Department of Corrections. One Atlanta source says T.I.'s ready to sign anything, write whatever check, even ink NDAs if that's what it takes to try and get King out alive immediately. It's wild to picture the self-styled King of the South on his knees, but that's the scene behind closed doors. Meanwhile, Tiny's reportedly locked in a separate war room, pulling together publicists, lawyers, and media allies like a general planning a rescue. Behind the PR moves, people close to the couple say their famous unity is showing cracks. Sources say arguments between T.I. and Tiny have blown up, with each pointing fingers about how their son ended up in this mess. Close friends are split. Some think T.I. and Tiny are fighting to save King. Others say they're clashing while their son's life hangs in the balance. The family that sold the world an image of being unshakable is starting to come apart under pressure.
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T.I.
But it gets darker. Whispers racing through the system suggest this wasn't just petty disrespect or a random beef. Rumors claim a contraband deal inside the facility went south and King might have refused to play ball, or worse, tried to finesse the wrong crew. In a place where loyalty is currency, that move can get you marked. So what really went down? A heated blow-up that spun out, or a straight-up setup? Investigators tied to the case tell us there's evidence pointing to a setup. They say King was baited to a corner where at least 3 men jumped him, and right when it went down, surveillance cameras supposedly went dark right then. The Department of Corrections is brushing off the whole camera situation, denying any glitch. But folks on the inside aren't buying it. One of T.I.'s former road managers didn't hold back, saying, "It's Georgia. Cameras break when they need to break. That's all you need to know." Meanwhile, King's condition remains shaky, and family tensions are spilling out in ways the public hasn't seen before.
I really admire his dedication and commitment to the craft, because, I kind of told him, what was wrong about it. Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who would pull up and get on my ass anytime. Things I did, you can't get away with.
I know that.
Man, damn. Yeah, that's I ain't see that one coming. You know
Really?
what I mean? Nah, I didn't.
The Harris crew has closed ranks in the past, but nothing compares to this pressure cooker. Fans instantly brought up that explosive Falcons game moment when T.I. had King in a headlock. All of it streamed live on Instagram. It kicked off after another heated clash about King's behavior. T.I. snapped at him. "You are embarrassing yourself and your family," as security rushed in, and Tiny tried to cool things down. Back then, people swore that was King's rock bottom, but this prison ambush proves the floor can always drop lower. Now King's stretched out in a hospital bed while the family's private drama is splashed everywhere online, making that Falcons game look like a warm-up for something far uglier. This isn't just about family pride anymore, it's about survival. Inside those walls, the vibe was never safe for King, but sources say it got downright toxic lately. Several insiders revealed he was constantly taunted over his parents' messy past, including the still whispered allegations that have haunted T.I. and Tiny, and by default cast a shadow on King too. And King didn't exactly help himself. Word is he was still trying to flex for social media even behind bars, calling out rivals and pushing his image as Atlanta's next big thing. But the older inmates weren't impressed one bit. As one former prisoner put it bluntly, "We're not here for the reality show."
So him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, "King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path?" Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, he
We don't care who your daddy is. Inside those walls, the code is simple. If you don't pay what you owe or you talk too much, you get dealt with. No exceptions. And now King is facing that same punishment on the outside. T.I. is burning through every card he's got left. Insiders say he's even threatened to go public with explosive complaints about the prison's conditions. At the same time, his team is quietly pushing sympathetic stories to media allies trying to spin the blame off King and onto a broken system. It's the oldest move in the celebrity crisis playbook, but the question hanging heavy is it already too late to save him? Behind all the scrambling and damage control, one chilling thought lingers. What if this is exactly what happens when you raise a son to believe he's untouchable, only for reality to swing back harder than anyone ever expected? Adding even more smoke are whispers from 3 separate industry veterans claiming the Harris family's messy legal history might have painted a target on King's back. Everybody remembers his parents' names being tied to those still whispered trafficking allegations. accusations that first exploded years ago but never fully disappeared. Critics have called it a tangled web of bad behavior, allegedly connected straight to the Harris family itself. And Sabrina Peterson, the former friend who lit that fire, once promised she had receipts that could drag not only T.I. and Tiny, but even King deeper into the legal quicksand. The feds may not have filed charges, but in the court of public opinion, that stain never fades. While the Harris legal team scrambles to shut down one scandal, another rumor pops up. This time, whispers of a secret deal gone wrong. Word is King's name showed up scribbled on a contraband ledger, tied to a broken promise, with whispers that he either snitched or backed out of a payment.
I graduated. That's the only good thing they posted of me going viral. I'm not on the media's good side. I don't know why, but it ain't.
Is this just prison gossip or the ugly truth? Insiders insist one thing never changes in there. Crossing the wrong crew always gets settled in blood. Stack that on top of King's flashy, privileged upbringing, his reality TV past, and the Harris family's endless trail of controversies. And it's no shock he became a lightning rod for every grudge brewing behind those walls. Meanwhile, T.I. and Tiny's marriage is starting to look like a powder keg with the fuse already lit. Behind closed doors, sources say the fights are explosive over how to handle King's downward spiral. Tiny is pushing for a softer approach, blaming the prison system and outside influences for the mess. But T.I.? He's reportedly doubling down on a harder line, convinced their son needs discipline and that only Force plus his heavyweight connections can pull King out of this. He's gone into overdrive, but insiders swear this is the single worst crisis they've ever faced together. Worse than the reality TV cancellation, worse than the messy lawsuits in LA, and even worse than that viral Falcons game headlock that embarrassed them worldwide. This isn't just about another headline, this is about the Harris family legacy itself. The emotional toll is brutal, with both parents lashing out while the rest of the Harris clan gets dragged into the blast zone. Zoom out and the stakes couldn't be higher. King, once the pampered wild card of the dynasty, is now staring down a cold, violent reality. And with every new headline, every frantic phone call from his father, one question gets louder. Is this leading to a redemption arc or the total unmaking of one of hip-hop's most famous families?
Treat mine like you treat yours.
Why y'all got so much time, bro? Why y'all always gotta have? What is it about?
It's not illegal to have.
Well, in the manner in which you're portraying in the lifestyle, it don't look legitimate, sir.
Because I'm not supporting no whore. I'm not.
Can't do it.
I'm not.
What kind of parents don't support their kids in their goddamn slide?
Bigger than you.
Popping it. And then got up there. So 12 pull up and they say, hey, who do you belong to? Who raised their hand? Somebody got to raise their hand.
I've been seeing him around too here a lot.
You gonna raise your own hand?
I've been seeing him around too like that.
Well, when you got
It ain't
I know that.
When y'all got
around those people, that's called it's not the possession of a commission of a crime, sir. That is a felony.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Digging deeper, all signs point to one chilling truth. The most shocking details of this ambush still haven't even leaked. We're watching in slow motion as prison life tears apart the polished facade of celebrity privilege. All the money, all the influence, even a famous last name, none of it buys safety inside those walls. Prison runs on its own brutal code, and King Harris, like countless others before him, is learning it the hardest way possible. Those rules are written in blood, enforced without hesitation, and everybody knows them. Respect isn't bought with autographs or fame. It's earned through loyalty and silence. In a place where yesterday's chart position means nothing, survival is the only headline that counts. High-profile names aren't protected inside, they're exposed, and King is finding that out with every brutal reminder. The alliances, the silence, the respect, all of it is life or death currency. And here's the haunting thought shaking everyone. What if the very thing that made King famous, his profile, his spotlight, was actually the weapon used against him? Insiders close to the situation say this attack wasn't just about King as a person. It was about the weight of everything he represented. The Harris name, the reality TV baggage, the constant headlines, And his rep as T.I.'s wildest son, to men already serving decades, that's nothing but a lightning rod for jealousy, resentment, and revenge. More than one correctional officer has admitted off the record that inmates like King often turn into bargaining chips in the endless power struggles between rival factions. King wasn't just another inmate. He became a pawn in somebody else's game. One source who did time in Georgia explained it plain. They see an outsider with headlines and they want to send a message to him, to the block, and to the world watching. Add to that the whispers of a botched contraband deal and the never-ending swirl of his family's scandals, and suddenly, King Harris isn't just fighting for survival. He's fighting against a storm that's bigger than him. From the very start, King was swimming with sharks. But this story isn't just about fists and bruises. Inside, psychological warfare cuts just as deep. Every stare, every rumor, every casual word can be a warning, or the first move toward another ambush. Reports say King's privileged upbringing painted a target on him long before he ever stepped foot in that cell. Some inmates see him as soft, raised with private schools, flashy music videos, and a team of lawyers most of them could only dream of. Others feel flat out disrespected by his attempts to talk tough, act gangster, and stand on business when everybody knows he spent more time in reality TV studios than on any real street corner. Behind the walls, his lawyers are running overtime, scrambling to control the narrative, while the family itself is deeply split on what to do next. Certain relatives are urging caution, worried that stirring up the noise only puts King in more danger. Others argue that silence equals surrender, saying the Harris brand can't afford to look weak in the middle of such a public storm. Meanwhile, the rest of the Harris kids are stuck in a minefield of their own, dragged into speculation about paternity rumors, old family beefs, and resurfaced drama that just won't die. The line between private heartbreak and public scandal is vanishing by the hour. Each fresh leak, whether it's whispered by a guard or spilled by a so-called family friend, pours more gasoline on the blaze. And as the dots start connecting, the bigger picture can't be ignored. King's near-fatal ambush is proof of one cold fact. The justice system doesn't care about celebrity. It chews you up and spits you out. Inside those walls, fame, family money, even hip-hop royalty doesn't matter. The only currency that counts is raw power. What began as a clash over respect has spiraled into a full-on fight for survival. Not just for King Harris, but for the entire Harris dynasty. T.I. is pulling strings behind the scenes, desperate to outmaneuver a system that's already claimed countless lives, but this chain reaction may only just be starting. King is clinging to life, and every headline makes it clearer. This wasn't just one attack. This feels like the opening chapter of a darker saga still unfolding. So the question is King Harris simply a casualty of his family's fame, or is something even deeper driving this chaos? Could this ambush unlock secrets and rivalries so explosive that no PR spin or damage control can ever contain them? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Because with the Harris family, the drama never stays quiet for long. Stay sharp, stay curious, and until the next video, keep your eyes wide open. You never know whose story is about to take its next wild turn.